Let's talk about architecture in general,
Okay.
especially the architecture that is found in Monrovia.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I mentioned that the two prevailing styles of architecture when Monrovia was started were Queen Anne and Eastlake, and sometimes it's difficult to tell the difference between the two because they have some things in common. If you look at the Oaks, for example, it has a decorative frieze right underneath the second floor roof system. It was more rectilinear. The original open second floor porch on the corner, well, let's put it this way, the corner tower was rectangular rather than circular, whereas the Queen Anne more likely had a circular corner tower. I think the Queen Anne made perhaps greater use of patterned shingles than the Eastlake, although Eastlake did use patterned shingles. Not quite as much. If you look at the Oaks, for example, even though some of the original decoration is gone, I'm not aware that there was patterned shingles. There was a wooden awning over the double windows in one of the parlors, and it may have had decorative patterned shingles on it originally. By the time I saw it, those had been replaced with asphalt, and then the entire structure was torn off. And the second floor porch was enclosed. There might be some patterned shingles still on the second floor porch. But with Queen Anne, sometimes an entire floor would have been covered, like the second floor of a house would have been covered with patterned shingles. Idlewild, for example. The bottom floor is shiplap siding, and the second floor is patterned shingles, and then the tower is curved in patterned shingles, or accents of patterned shingles. The ornamentation, Eastlake, they say stick Eastlake is another style. Stick style would have referred to decorative elements that were applied on the surface, like something like, let's say, Tudor style with the simulated beams and plaster between them. They would have a decorative member that would have been cut out and then applied over the body of the house.
What about the little workers' cottages that are on West Olive, and what are the style of those little smaller cottages in Monrovia?
They'd be modified Queen Anne. 224, the
West
Olive, the Reverend Dr. Stevenson house. I would call it more Eastlake in that the projecting bay window is rectangular rather than curvilinear, but it does have use of patterned shingles, has a spindle gallery on the front porch, has an ornamental porch railing, and lots of applied details though in the bay window. Moldings applied on the surface to make it more decorative and ornamental. Again, it has a frieze underneath the roof system, right underneath the eaves. It has an applied stick and ball design. The Metcalf house at 404 West Hillcrest, two-story house. Again, it has that decorative frieze underneath the second-story roof system, an applied stick and ball. And the front of the house originally had a lot of applied ornamentation, much of which was eliminated when they took some of the porch areas and enclosed them and incorporated that space into the body of the house. Worker cottages probably would have had very simple ornamentation. The house at 113 North Primrose, it was Dr. Adams' house. It did originally have geometric stained glass in the front-facing bay. That was removed at some point, apparently, when that came out of favor. Simple ornamentation in the gable, very simple. Original porch railing was quite simple. Original porch did have some scrollwork brackets underneath, adjoining or attached to the porch posts that supported the roof system. Not highly ornate. I mean, some ornamentation, nothing extensive or really ornate. And then some worker cottages just had no ornamentation at all.
So the ones on East Lemon that were built by, they were built on spec, basically.
Yeah, John Wilde's, yeah.
Yeah, how would you describe that type of architecture? Those are at
Yeah, I'd say simplified Eastlake, and I say Eastlake in that there was the front-facing bay window was rectangular. Don't think there was any use of patterned shingles. The porch posts were square chamfered edge posts as opposed to ornamentally turned posts. Simple porch railing, and a squirrel on the front porch. No.
So the houses built during the 1880s, 90s, 1900 would have all been some form of Victorian architecture. Was there a farm style or a more simple style, or would they all have been Victorian?
Well, there's a folk Victorian that's been identified as such by a team that put together a book on Victorian architecture period, Virginia and Lee McAllister, and they're the ones, I think, either they came up with or borrowed the term folk Victorian, which is usually a single-story, simple cottage. For example, the 228 West Olive is a folk Victorian in that it's single-story, front-facing gable, side gables. Only decorative element is a sawtooth frieze under the roof system, and the original porch posts were probably square chamfered edge posts as opposed to turned posts. Don't know much about the original porch railing because none of it survives.